we had Avengers. We had some gameplay come out of a couple games.
Yeah.
The first one was Avengers this week. TIE Fighter, you were really interested in this one and paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Will you just walk through what was released, what was discussed and
Sure.
talked about, and then we'll get our impressions from there.
Avengers was actually on my list of most anticipated games of 2020. You know, we saw a little bit of it last summer. We got a little tease. We got little bits here and there. But today was, for the very first time, we finally saw some gameplay. We finally got a much better insight into who the bad guy is, what gameplay looks like, and it was pretty cool. It was actually like a 20-minute long, like they called it a war table. We're seeing it here on stream. And it walked us through a couple of different types of missions, and then we got a look at some of the UI for gear specialization as well too. So what we're seeing on stream right now is basically the intro into a single-player Thor mission. And so just stepping off of this, they have two different types of missions. Missions where you are single player and it is made specifically for one character. So they want to develop a story around that one character for this mission. And then they do much larger scale multiplayer missions where you can pretty much bring any hero that you want into the fray. And then those heroes can all work together to accomplish some goal.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is a Thor mission, and so you're going up into the sky. I don't know if you remember the giant, like, hovering aircraft carriers from Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is them fighting on the deck of one of those, and you are fighting as Thor to get rid of all these robots that are attacking. And you go around, you use all your Thor abilities, your hammer smash and your hammer swing and your lightning, and overall it looks pretty cool. I'm still definitely excited to see all the different types of gameplay that we see, because this kind of reminds me of, and this is a bad word here, this kind of reminds me of Anthem, in that you're going to be able to engage with this game in many different ways all at the same time, right? Each one of these characters is going to have their own play style, their own feel, their own move set, their own button presses, right? And so it's going to take a long time for people to really become a master of this game. And so this is just a taste of what it's like to be Thor. They then went into the menu system a little bit later and showed like the different skill trees that every one of these characters has. And so like as Thor, you can build your Thor to be more focused on melee, or more focused on range, or more focused on defense or support. And there's just a bunch of different ways to build each one of these characters. So my Thor is different from your Thor, and your Hulk is different from my Hulk. And so anyway, yeah, this gameplay was like a really cool look into what this game is going to be. I'm definitely still looking forward to it on day one. I'm still just a little, like, it's still just a little unclear what gameplay looks like. You know, if I want to play this for an hour, what does it look like? If I want to sit down and play for 8 hours, what does it look like? How does progression feel over the course of that time?
So did this make you more or less excited?
This made me more
Avengers?
excited, because this game in general has been a huge question mark, because all we saw at E3 last year was that, like, 15-30 seconds of gaming
where they're like on the bridge.
They're on the Golden Gate Bridge,
yeah.
and all you see is Hulk go like punch, punch, and like that was all we saw. And so this is really good to get a feel for.
Smash. It's Smash with Hulk.
Well, he was punching and smashing, I guess. So we did see two things.
Yeah.
But I was very encouraged by the concept of the skill tree and developing my Thor the way I wanted it to be. They showed off a lot of cosmetics that you can earn as a part of this game too. And then another big positive for me was that they're going to have expansions in both new characters and new missions and content, and those will all be free as a part of the purchase of the game. So
yeah, my first impressions of this, it's interesting. It seems like almost a Diablo style game that we're getting here, where you jump in, you play, you want to level up one of your characters,
Sure.
You play with them as your main, then you jump out, you hop into another mission with another character leveled out, or with your friends, and use them together that way. So it seems almost a very, like you said, Anthem, very Diablo style. You go in, level up, get out. The other thing that really stood out to me is how they talk a lot about how your characters can work together with their supers and stuff like that. And that seems interesting. And if done right, that could be a really cool draw to the game, right? So my custom Thor, what can he do with your custom Hulk that works together and makes it cool? The gameplay looks great. I mean, who doesn't want to be Thor flying around with his hammer, smashing stuff?
I sure hope it feels as good to fly with Thor as it did to fly in Anthem.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Right, so that really set a precedent for what it feels to fly as Thor or Iron Man or any of those. Now we kind of know, we have an expectation for what that's going to feel like, and if this game that comes out, you know, a year and a half later doesn't feel as good, that's going to be a bummer.
Yeah, just jumping off of your point where we kind of still don't know, that's the big question. Where do we go from here? When you jump in and play a level, like we can see this level, what's next?
Right.
And is it entertaining? Is it enough to keep you going? Or is it a disappointment.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't see addressed here, and I don't know if I should be worried or if they just decided not to cover it this one, is we don't see a single piece of loot drop in this whole demo. Like, I have no idea what it means. You know, how do I get my hands on like the next iteration of the hammer? You know, does it look cool when a gold one drops, or does it look cool when a purple one or a blue one drops?
Yeah.
We got no reference for what that looks like. You know, are they dropping from enemies, or are they just rewards at the end of the game?
Yeah.
Or is it something you just buy from the vendor back at the anthill, which is what they call the home base later in the trailer. So I'm a big loot guy. Destiny, Division, Borderlands, that's my deal. So I'm very curious to see how that system works, because it's super important for it to feel good every time something falls on the ground.
Spicy, what are your thoughts? Avengers right here.
Totally agree with him. The loot is the carrot on the stick. That's why you're playing. Besides having fun, you know, kicking butt as Thor. So my thoughts on the trailer. I mean, I'm a huge comic guy, and being able to smash Mjolnir around and smash it around. I'm curious to see on how the flight feels different, if it feels different from like an Iron Man versus a Thor, because they fly in two different ways.
Very much so.
You know what I mean?
Thor is being pulled by his hammer, and Iron Man is being pushed by his rockets.
Correct. My thoughts are, I wonder if they're going to feel different, because that would be really cool if every character felt significantly unique, right? As we're watching this trailer, I notice the camera shakes after every hit. And you go into like Dutch angle cameras, where the camera, see how it slants to the right or to the left?
I do see that.
That makes me happy as a film, you know, just like a filmographer, right? They're doing things that are immersing you in. You wouldn't notice that necessarily playing, but as they shift that makes you feel like something's intense and something's wrong.
And you can give weight to different actions.
The Dutch angle. So we have a Dutch angle right now. It's just slightly tilted, but then as you hit and stuff, it slightly wobbles too, and that's making the hits not feel like just a regular punch. That feels like you're getting hit, or you're getting
knocked off axis.
With a hammer that was built by a dying star.
You're getting hit by a god.
Correct. You know what I mean?
I really appreciate that take there, because I didn't notice it at all. But now that you are pointing it out with a cinematographer's eye, you are 100% right, and it looks really cool now that I'm seeing it.
The wobble, the tilt, it makes something's off kilter, something's wrong, and then that wobble, and you're feeling like you're a badass Thor hitting hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really, really appreciate that in this trailer a lot. So that gets me excited for the immersion factor and everything like that. As far as the loot goes, I wonder if they remove that for this.
That's what I was wondering, right?
For the show off?
They didn't talk about it at all. They didn't cover it as a part of like, hey, look at all this cool loot that you get. They covered the UI where you interact with your loot, but they didn't talk about like, am I going to be grinding for better rolls? Am I going to be finding special loot from specific bosses? I was unsatisfied with the conclusions around loot from this, but I think you're right. I think that just wasn't the point of today.
They're probably trying to keep it a little bit hidden so they have something else to hype later on, right? You know, they're just trying to do that. Overall, I'm completely biased and a sucker towards superhero video games, superheroes in general. Like this is touching me in every right spot.
It's
right?
touching you how you like it.
It just looks so good. Oh my gosh, it looks so good.
Hopefully,
what was the quote? I can take care of myself.
Yeah, I can turn myself on.
I'm going to turn myself on. Yeah, this is so good.